After playing through Super Princess Peach, I was feeling pretty good about the Mario spin-offs. When it comes to spin-offs, Mario is the reason they exist. The majority of them are really good, or at least enjoyable, with games like Mario Kart even becoming their own separate series. I decided to play one of the lesser known Mario spin-offs called Super Mario Ball, or Mario Pinball Land depending on where you come from. It didn't look amazing, but hey, I got enjoyment from a game that featured Peach crying all the time. Maybe Super Mario Ball would be fun. So did I regret my decision, or is Super Mario Ball as good as the other Mario spin-offs? Let's have a look. This game was made by Fuse, who you probably won't know unless you love pinball, as their biggest game is Metroid Prime Pinball. I have to get this out of the way before looking at Super Mario Ball, but I don't enjoy pinball. I wouldn't say I hate it, but there's a reason that people stopped playing pinball once video games came around. Pinball lacks any real substance, and because I don't enjoy going for high score in games, pinball just isn't for me. Well, I guess I better look at the game itself now. Super Mario Ball starts off showing off how in the Mushroom Kingdom a machine has been invented that turns people into pinballs. When Peach has a go on it, a Goomba fires her at Bowser's castle, and that's the story. Of course you can't really expect much more story when the concept of the game is to make a Mario pinball game. So the way the game works is that the game is split into 4 different pinball tables, each representing a world. There's Grass World, Sand World, Ice World and Funfair World. You select a world and travel through the different areas that make up the world. You have to collect stars along the way, which I needed to get through certain doors. You can get stars by completing objectives in an area, which mostly involve defeating all the enemies in that area. It's pretty much a pinball version of Super Mario 64 as you collect stars, the worlds aren't linear, and a lot of the graphics, even the text, is taken from Super Mario 64. I have to say that graphically this game looks great. It's probably one of the most impressive Game Boy Advance games out there, as it really does capture Super Mario 64 well, and the sprites look amazing. I wish I could say the same for the sound though. Each world has a music theme that constantly loops as you play, and when you spend a while in one area, every music track becomes repetitive and annoying. This isn't helped by the horrendous sound that the bumpers make, which sound like they didn't even try to make them fit a Mario game. In terms of gameplay, there isn't much here. You can use the left flipper, you can use the right flipper, or you can use an item that you can buy from Toad. There's nothing else to it. You may not see the problem with the controls by me describing what they are, but it will take you 5 seconds to see when you play the game itself. You have no precise control over Mario's movement. In pinball in general, you never really have any real control over the ball, as it's pretty much random where the ball goes when you flip it. But hey, pinball is just a crazy mindless game where you're going for high scores, so it doesn't matter. In Super Mario Ball, however, not having any real control completely breaks the game. The whole point in the game is that it's pinball based on Super Mario 64, so you'll come to an area, you'll see what you have to do, and then you'll try and do it. While figuring out what you have to do is fine, doing anything is a chore and is horrible. It might not have been so bad, but there are 2 major reasons why this doesn't work. The first is that you can do way too much in any one area. With multiple enemies and different entrances in any given area, because you don't have precise control, you can do something completely different to what you wanted to do. You might be thinking though, hey, why don't you just take out all the enemies on the screen to make life a bit easier? Well, you can take out all the enemies, but they always respawn when you leave and come back. Even if you have to defeat the enemies for a star and you get the star, they still come back. What's worse is that there are doors that you have to go through, and behind the door you will have a group of enemies that you have to get rid of to get a star. Once you do everything that you can in that area though, you can still easily come back to it for no reason, and you will accidentally because of the lack of control. Why didn't they seal off any areas you've beaten? What's the point in letting the player return to an area where there's literally nothing they can do in that area? This brings me to the second thing that doesn't work. The way you exit an area. To leave you have to let yourself fall between the flippers, but whenever you enter an area a blue pipe appears in the gap so you can't fall straight away. It means when you enter an area somewhere you didn't want to, you have to wait it out until the pipe goes away, which it does eventually. Why didn't they let the player control the pipe? Or better yet, allow the player to simply select where they wanted to go rather than leaving it to the random chance? Also, what's up with those stupid star doors? If you need a certain amount of stars to go through a door, then every time you want to go through them, you have to first hit them and then hit yourself through the door. If you open every star door in an area accidentally though, then they all reset and you have to do it again. Why? Why any of this? I can see what they were trying to do, but why design it like this? Why not just have large boards that have multiple things happening on them? And when you do everything on the board that you want to, you progress to the next one, rather than these small areas that you fall in and fall out constantly by accident. The idea of having objectives on a pinball table is a good one, but this game shows no understanding of what pinball is. The embarrassing thing that makes things more random than they already are is that you get less control than you would with actual pinball. With this being a Game Boy Advance game, there's no sense of pressure with the buttons, so with the two flippers you can either flip them all the way or not at all. You can't even flip them at the same time, which is very confusing, and there's also no tilt. You needed to add in extra controls to pinball for this game to work, not take them away, you morons. Just look at this footage that I'm showing you. Can you even tell me where I'm trying to go or what I'm trying to do? That should say enough about how much you can't control this game. So stars aren't actually the main collectible here. Instead, the whole point of the game is to find the key in each world, which are acquired by defeating the bosses. I don't want to get into how much of a pain it is to both find the bosses and then trying to get to where they are, as I want to focus on the boss battles themselves. With how restricted the controls are, there is not much of a trick to any of them, but you still have to perform specific actions to take them out. The worst is the goddamn fish boss, who you first need to hit Mario into some bomb chutes and then hit the bombs that pop out into him. This sounds all well and good, but you have to hit the boss 3 times, and with each hit you have to hit him twice, once to inflate him and once to damage him with a bomb. It becomes such a mess trying to flip bombs into him as well as keeping Mario in the area. That skill would not help you in the slightest. The bosses might have been fun if it wasn't for that damn blue pipe. As I mentioned, a blue pipe will stop you from falling, but will disappear after time. When fighting bosses, it is guaranteed to disappear before you beat them, and there's a good chance you'll fall and leave the area before you finish the fight, which resets it. What a stupid thing to happen! Why does the pipe disappear? Once again I ask, why can't the player control the blue pipe? It makes bosses 100% luck based. In pinball, the whole point is that you'll eventually lose, which is why there are times where you lose a ball when it's not really your fault. Why is this mindset carried over to this game? I'm trying to fight a boss that took forever to get to, and now you're going to have to make me concentrate on fighting the boss and trying to stop Mario from randomly falling down a hole and erasing my progress. What horrible level design! If you didn't think this game's design could be any more broken, there's one more thing I have to mention. When you beat a boss, a cannon appears in the first screen of the world so it can take you back to the world select. This is all well and good, but if you want to go back to the worlds you've already got the key in, the cannon never goes away, so it's almost impossible to progress past the first screen of any world where you've already beaten the boss. If you hit the cannon once, it then sucks you in and takes you back to the world select. It's perfectly possible to beat a world without even getting half the stars, so why doesn't the cannon disappear? Why not just let me quit to the world select screen anytime I want through the pause screen rather than adding in the game breaking cannon? If you do want to change the world before beating it, you have to let yourself die. To die, you have to let yourself fall through the first screen of a world, which again involves waiting for the blue pipe to disappear. The weird thing is that despite the whole point of the game being to collect keys, the game still keeps track of your score, and whenever you get a game over, it tells you how well you did score-wise. Why? If this game's focus isn't on high scores, then why include them at all? The way the boards are designed, even if you force yourself to care about getting a high score, it wouldn't be fun to get them, as replaying worlds over and over again isn't fun due to the controls. I have never played a game that lacks any understanding of what makes people enjoy video games. The gameplay is a random, frustrating mess which doesn't take into account the player's skill level at all. It's sad too, as they obviously put a lot of effort into this game with the great visuals and presentation, but the gameplay is so embarrassingly broken. I won't lie, I didn't even beat this game. There's only 4 boards, but I had such a hard time collecting 2 of the keys that I couldn't bring myself to keep playing. I know it's unprofessional to review a game I didn't beat, but I really tried here, and I learned everything I needed to know about this game in the short time I played it. My score is 1.5 out of 10. Pinball fanatics might get some enjoyment here, but honestly there's no enjoyment to be had with this broken, embarrassing mess of a game.